Well, welcome to another video. This one hopefully will be a quickie. We are on the boundary of some private property with permission, and boundary is definitely the key word here. I've been picking up rubbish along the way here and I've got a whole backload of it, so I'm going to have to work with some of that too. In any case, we're here to test something that has been a viewer request, which is how boat anchors work as land anchors for the Argo. So I've got my trolling battery on the back. I'm going to hook my winch up to that because I'm going to give it a hard time. And we're going to try a couple of different anchors. I've got a few at my disposal. I couldn't get all the ones that I wanted to, but we'll try a couple of things. In amongst some of the stuff that we've picked up as well is a spare tire. I've heard that you can bury these in the ground and use them as an anchor as well. So if I've remembered to put my shovel in here, which I'm not sure I have, we'll try that as well. Alright, we have our selection of anchors here. We have what I think is called a Danforth. I dug this up with a fishing magnet earlier, so my good old buddy Rocco will be happy. He's been harping on about how star stakes are good, so we'll try that. We've got a folding kayak spoon anchor, got a car tire, and we've got a grappling hook type anchor, which I forgot to bend up before I left. So I'll see if there's something on the Argo that I help me bend these up, but pretty sure that's not going to do much. Anyway, let's try out. Now, under the seat of my Argo, there's a whole bunch of junk, but including a tiny battery. This is about the same as the stock battery, but it's sealed and it's about half the size. We're going to use this guy. This is an N70ZZ size deep cycle, which is good for about 135 amp hour. This is a HVT 86 LD. So, 1000 cold cranking amp. Much better for winching. We have this big battery lead here we can bypass all our main electrics with. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, we're going to switch to the helmet cam now because I only have two hands. We're going to do one crucial thing here. We're putting the handbrake on. The logic behind this being, if you're bogged, you're probably exceeding your ability to get traction. So what we're going to try and do is see if any of these winching ideas in sand can exceed our traction. So we're going to put the handbrake on, see if we can drag it. Now I have a fancy pants winch. I have put a wireless receiver on it so I can actually wind my winch remotely, which is what we'll do for filming. I have sprayed some chain oil on the cable of this and lubricated the winch up a little bit. It's still a noisy winch, namely because of this little scraping plate on the back of it. In any case, let's get a couple of these hitched up. I managed to find a way to bend up my grappling hook. We'll start with that as our control, I guess. I don't expect that's going to do anything really useful, but, you know, stranger things have happened. It might be handy if we hook it round the tyre. We'll see how we go. We'll hook you straight on. Dig you in as best we can. I'm going to stand on this because if I was doing this in a real scenario, that's what I'd do. Let's winch our cable up. Yeah, we're not getting nowhere with a grappling hook. We're just going to drag it through the sand as expected. Alright, next up is the folding spoon anchor. This one I have used before, and I need to put the little shackle on this one because I can't get the clip through. These come in a bunch of different sizes. I think this is the medium size one. But I have used it to drag me out of a bog hole before, in which I'd bellied out. And I used the same technique of put this in the ground and then stand on it. Let's use our winch control and see what we can do now. Whoop. We are ploughing through the sand. Whoop. We're definitely getting some movement on the Argo, but we are still ploughing the sand up. So, if you weren't completely stuck, that would probably get you out, and that has actually stuck a little bit, so I'm deforming the anchor a little bit. So, we'll turn the winch off. So yeah, that is probably at its limits to drag it across the sand. Certainly I can notice the wheels moving, and we can have a quick look here And we can see that this little patch of sand here, we did start to move it slightly, so that is an option. So it might help you get, if you are only slightly bogged, it might help you. The next one we're going to try the Danforth, or what is the name on this? That's a Mildy hold fast sand anchor. This is designed for sand, so we'll try this guy. Walk that here, and we'll put our little stainless shackle on this one. It's worth noting, guys, that I hate sand. I really do. Oh, that sounds horrible in that thread. Alright. Now this one, designed to drop in and drag like that. Alright. Let's try our sand anchor. And we'll put a little bit of tension on this winch cable so we don't double up the drum. Okay. We're going to stand on this one as well. Whoa. It's dragging me along, but it is digging in deeper. I can definitely see the nose dipping down now, and the wheels are starting to slide. Definitely a lot more force on this than the others. Oh, we're actually starting to slide a bit. Let's stand on top of the sand pile. We have exceeded a handbrake, and we are dragging along. This is definitely a good option for a land anchor. Okay, we're going to give this a break for a bit, and I'm going to go on to the Rocco Star Stake. I think I'll be carrying this one instead of the spoon anchor soon. Alright, what do you guys reckon? Tire or Star Stake next? Let's try Star Stake, because that's the Rocco option. Rocco's a mate of mine with a couple of Argos, and here's the track man, I'm going to call him. He's got tracks on all these and swears by them, and he's probably got a point. I haven't gone as far as to go to the expense of tracks yet. But anyway, we have a conversation going at the moment about land anchors, and that's part of what's inspired this. So let's get this Star Stake hammered in and see how we go. One of the problems with using Star Stakes is you need something to bash them in. And you've got to get up on the land somewhere if you're in the water, or you've got to get out in the mud. You can't just throw them out like the other anchors, but we'll work with this, and you need an additional tool. This is a medium length stake, and you can get longer ones. We'll bash this right in like he suggested, and then we're going to have fun getting it back out again. I think that's about as much as I'm going to get. It's on a slight slant away from the direction of pull. It may still slip off. Now I brought some chains to hook around that. I had to change GoPro batteries. Anyway, we've got a bit of tension on this. This one I don't need to stand on, and I'm going to get out of the snapping radius of the cable a little bit. See how we go. And this is already angling a bit. We're about to pull it out, but we are exceeding the handbrake. Rocco might have been onto something. Now, if I was doing this in the field, it's about at this point I'd get out and bash it in a little bit more. There's no shame in when you're stuck, you do what you've got to do to get out. Let's bash her in a little bit. No, it's only moving. The good old Star Stake is exceeding the handbrakes. It's rolling forward even though the handbrake's on. And it's dragging it through the sand a bit. It is slowly coming out, but I guess you could bash it back in again. So Rocco was onto something. Star Stake is kind of doing pretty well. The difference between this and the Danforth is it's not digging itself in, it's digging itself out over time. So we'll just rip this out now, because it saves me the trouble of having to get it out in a minute. All right, you do need a little bit of extra chain, but you know, that worked. All right, so last test, we're going to try the good old tire. We picked this up on the road in. Somebody's discarded it somewhere. So we're going to bury this one, see if we can use this as an anchor. This is going to take a little bit of time though. I've got to do some digging. I've seen this used as a four-wheel drive solution when you use your spare tire. I don't have a spare tire on this, but I guess in a pinch I could take a tire off and bury it and do this, but not something I'd like to do. It's a lot of trouble and a lot of pain in the rear. But I guess if you're desperate and you really had to get unstuck and you had nothing else, that's an option.
20 minutes later.
I'm a bit breathless. That just took quite a bit of effort. Certainly not something for the fat bastards like me. Anyway, now I'm going to have to change my YouTube rating for that. Anyway, it's buried. I'm not looking forward to getting this thing out of the ground, even after I'm done with this, but I guess that's kind of what we're after. Alright, in the spirit of the previous ones we've tested, we're going to stand on this. We're going to see if we can exceed our handbrake again. Taking up the slack at the moment. Now I've got a bit of force on it. Wow. Okay, this is not moving at all. We're exceeding our handbrake. I have never actually tried this technique before, but geez, it works well. We're not moving at all. Alright. That is crazy useful. Now if I do this, it's going to come out if I take my feet off it. Let's see if we can rip it out of the ground and save me some effort. Yeah. The difference with this is standing on it. We'll pull it out of the ground and see how we go. Now, I had planned to test this in mud as well, but there's a slight problem with that. Normally out here is a big bog hole full of mud. The landowner said, yeah, sure, if you can find some mud, you can test it out there too. The problem is, the mud area at the moment is under about 3 feet of water. So really the only thing I could test here would be these anchors function as a boat anchor, because I'd be floating. And I'm reasonably confident that all of them would work very well as an anchor to stop me floating away. But it's not really worth my effort going out there looking for mud, because there isn't any. Well, there is, but it's not really accessible in the way that I need it to be. So, yeah, good old Rocco wants to know the answers before I've even downloaded the footage. This will be interesting. Alright, now we're going to retract our winch. Now, it's worth noting that I use the same spray pack chain oil that I use on the chains in this to grease the winch and the cable. And lubricating your winch cable is important. And we've just doubled up on the wrong side of the drum here. I'm going to have to rewind the winch when I get back to base. It's worth putting a little bit of tension on when you wind these up so that the cable winds up properly. This is a shocking job. The other thing about these winch things, you push the button and it goes for a portion of time. So it's worth remembering that when you release it so that you don't get your fingers caught or pull the winch hook all the way through the fair lead. Alright, I've got to fill in my hole and make it look like I was never here.